Hello, this is your week 3 Zoom. Sorry for getting to you all late. I'm going to be, I wasn't asked any questions by anybody, so I'm just going to be going over some of the stuff that you have to do this week for your assignment. So one thing that you have to rig is mechanically rig this robot arm. There's a detailed video on how to do this. So basically, some things that you have to keep in mind are about joining objects. So, for example, in the tutorial, they join like these two objects. So an easy way to join two separate objects is to do Control J, and now they're one object. If you want to separate objects, do Control P. Sorry, you have to be in object mode, or sorry, edit mode. And P. And so if you separate by selection, it'll only separate this space. But if you separate by loose parts, it'll just separate into whatever objects are not combined together. So let's separate by loose parts. And you can see that there's two objects again. If I Control Z, Control Z. So these are attached again. If I go into edit mode and just select one of these faces and then press L, it'll select the whole object. And then if I do P, I can separate by selection, and then I will just select that piece. So if you have like 3 objects, it'll be more obvious that you're separating by selection. But because we only have 2 objects, separate by selection and separate by loose parts are essentially the same thing. If you end up doing something like rotating this, something that you can do is to clear all values. So if you want to clear all the rotation, that is Alt R. Make sure you're in the viewport when you do that. And let's say you move it using G and kind of move it all around to clear all your location values is Alt G. And so it essentially just takes your object back to 0, 0, 0. Something else that they did in the tutorial when, addressing this object, because if you want to be able to change the pivot, you want to center the pivot around this area. So it had you go tab into edit mode, and you're in face mode right here, and you can just select and shift select over here. And if you and if you shift S, you can move the cursor to selected. And so the 3D cursor moves there. And then we're going to tab and go into object mode, go to the top, transform pivot point to 3D cursor. And then in addition to that, this orange dot needs to move to the proper place as well. So you already saw that the gizmo moved to the 3D cursor. So that's one part of it. But we also have to go to object, set origin, and origin to 3D cursor. And so this orange dot moves as well. So make sure that you're setting, your pivot to the 3D cursor, but also moving the origin as well. So again, the video for this tutorial is pretty straightforward. If he's going too fast, feel free to pause when you need to pause. Also on YouTube, it allows you to watch videos at half speed or a quarter speed. So make sure you go to the cogwheel, the settings, and then change the speed to 0.5, 0.25, whatever you need. And as always, feel free to email me any questions. Moving on to your other assignment is to rig a character. So we're going to just choose this one. So one thing you want to make sure is go to edit and preferences and rigify. You want to make sure that rigify is enabled. So I'm going to check that. Oops, I was not patient enough. So check rigify and then you can close this. And if I do Shift A, armature, we can do the basic human. So what we can do, we can scale that up to about where we need it. And then if we go tab, let's see, if we go into pose mode, actually, I think we want to be in edit mode and we want to be able to move these around. This one is in a proper position. Let's see, if I press X and dissolve the bones, it'll get rid of that. So I could just move this one, GZ up here. Let me go into 1 so I can see better orthographically. And then I'm going to put this one, GZ, move it up here. Okay, so, and then for this one, I'm just going to do a box select and just select all of this right here. And GZ, move it up. Down a little bit. I'm just going to put that at the top of the hips right there. Remove these legs. GZ down. Okay, I'm going to turn on right here. It says axis mirror. So let's see if this allows me to move these at the same time. Yes, cool. So I'm just moving these and moving them over here. Actually, just for symmetrical purposes, I'm going to select all of this and move it over. I'm gonna move the knee up. Let's go to 3. Move this over here. Move this over a little bit. A little down. We're gonna move this over. Okay. I'm gonna examine how this is looking. I can. Right now we don't need any additional bones, but just to show you how to get more bones, you just click and then E to extrude and you can have another bone. But for this one, I'm just gonna move this to, oops. Move this to top. And I'm gonna move this to the elbow. Move this to the wrist. And move this to the end of the fingers. And I'll just move this up. And if we go to the top view, we can move this over a bit. Move this over. Move this one over. And move this one over. We don't have to worry about the fingers because we're just learning basic rigging right now. So that is our armature. So we go to object mode. So I'm over here looking at our transformations. So our scale should be applied. So I'm just going to do a Control A and apply the scale. The location and the rotation seem to be okay. And now that we're going to bind our character to our armature. So we're going to select our character first and then shift select our armature and Control P. And then we're going to armature deform with automatic weights. If we go into pose mode, let's look at here. All right. It's looking, I mean, we're doing too much, but it's working. Now we can, okay, so now that we have it bound, we're gonna go to Rigify up here, generate rig, and then it's gonna give us some automatic controls. So now that we have generated this rig and hidden our armature, we have to parent the character to the controls. Let's pick I'll go into object mode, choose our character, and shift select our rig. We're going to go to Control P, and then armature deform with automatic rigs. And we're going to go to pose mode. And now if I click this control and I do some rotating, it looks like it's, you know, attached, but it could have some weights painted. We're going to go to weight paint mode and then go to our tool settings and under, let's see, under the options section, we're going to check auto normalize just to prevent anything happening crazy. We can close those up. So the brush settings, you know, we have the weight at 1, which is we're painting the weight and the influence. And then the radius is at 50 pixels, which is a decent start. And then the strength, do you want to like every time you touch it, do you just want it to be 100%? Or, you know, once you get into more advanced weight painting, you'll probably want to lessen it to have a gradient of influence. Now we're going to set, we're going to weight paint on specific bones. So in this, you have to select the bone, you have to control click. So I'm going to select, let's see, select this armature and this character, and then go into weight paint mode and go to weights, assign automatic bones. Let's see. I'm going to go into object mode, click the rig, and go into post mode. And then click this control, rotate it. All right. Moving kind of wonky. Select the rig and the character, go to weight paint mode. Let's see how much influence each thing has. So I'm going to control click. This has like 0 influence because it's blue. Control click. Let's see how these other ones are moving. I'm going to move this one. Let's go to here and hide the. So if I move this one, moving pretty good, pretty good. after, binding and doing the automatic weights, let's see. Um, After doing that, if your weights aren't painted perfectly, it's totally fine. Rigging is like pretty hard. You can try to go into like weight painting mode and do what you can, but um, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just kind of introducing you to the idea of character rigging and painting weights and setting up all the controls. So don't worry if it's not perfect. Um, Again, rigging is pretty hard. So I just want you to kind of get the experience and don't worry about getting a bad grade if it's kind of all over the place. Just try your hardest and do what you can do. Um, if anybody has any questions during the week, please message me and yeah, keep in contact and just let me know if you're struggling. Thank you.